Hello, this is Amanda Cassar, and welcome to the Financial Secrets Revealed podcast for season 2, where we continue to lift the lid on financial abuse. Now, today I am joined by the gorgeous Debbie Freeman, former Rockette extraordinaire, who has not only been financially abused by a partner, but subsequently catfished as well. So I don't know, how this is going to go, but she has some incredible insights to share with us. Welcome to the show, Debbie.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you for having me. When we decided to do this podcast and you had asked me to come on, I was really feeling kind of foolish about sharing my story with people. I feel foolish that I've let things happen to me, but as I talk to people and I tell them my story and I've opened up because I was really embarrassed, I start to hear all these stories of even worse.
Oh, wow.
And people relate to me, and I'm just like, wow, I can't believe this has been happened to you too. Or it's amazing because it's something we keep quiet to ourselves because we don't want people to know that it's happened. But I think we need to share it and speak about it, because if I can pre-warn somebody else and let them know the signs, that they don't have to go through what I went through.
That would be brilliant, the whole purpose. And look, I do find there is a lot of, like you said, shame, embarrassment, those feelings of how could I have been so stupid? So there is that, you know, reluctance for people to share their story. But it's also becoming, I suppose, more mainstream now. We've got shows like, the Tinder Swindler and Dirty John and Inventing Anna, and, so people are aware. And I mean, we can sit back all we like and go, that would never happen to me. And it does. Some of the people who are swindled aren't, what you'd call a dumb person. They're financially savvy. They've got their shit together, for want of another word. It can happen to anyone and in any walk of life as well. We're also seeing cases now. I think Johnny Depp and Amber Heard are hugely in the news at the moment, where we're talking, domestic violence, financial abuse, all sorts of stuff going on there. There's discussions on toxic femininity, toxic masculinity. There's so much coming out into the public domain that I think the more stories that are out there that, this is the signs, this is what's leading up to it. Take off those rose-colored glasses and beware. So can you tell us a little bit about your story? I'm so fascinated to meet a real live Rockette, because we don't have those in Australia. Beauty pageants aren't really huge over here. So please tell us a little bit about your early history and how you were so fabulous to end up, in Vegas of all things too, running the show.
Oh, well, thank you, Amanda. Well, just to put it short, because I'm 51 years old, and so I've lived a pretty long life. I have a big story, but we'll keep it short. I've always wanted to be a professional dancer. I became a rockette. I danced for Atlanta Hawks. I did a bunch of different stuff, but being a rockette was definitely the most prestigious thing to be. Hundreds and hundreds of girls try out every year. And the year I chose to go, they only chose 10.
Wow.
One of them, and then ended up becoming the dance captain as well. So being young, I was very goal oriented. I did well with money. I mean, I had credit cards with $20,000 limits on them. Few of those in my, because they just keep raising my thing, and because I did really well with my finances. And I was always like that. And I always made good money. And so, there comes a time in your life when you want to get married, settle down. And, for me, it was like, I can't have kids and be going into work at 5 p.m., slapping the makeup on and staying out till 1 or 2 in the morning, and then coming home and sleeping till noon. Your lifestyle changes, you know.
For sure.
So I like to say I lived a rock star lifestyle,
Well, you would have. A Rockette star lifestyle even.
lifestyle for so many years. And I have so many great, wonderful memories of all the wonderful things that I did. And I even choreographed a show at the Venetian Hotel here in Las Vegas. But getting into being married, I ended up marrying somebody that was an alcoholic. I had no idea what that was like.
So, I mean, obviously, this person doesn't rock up in your life drunk all the time and sweep you off your feet. There must have been something wonderful and charismatic about this man that you fell in love with. So, can we just rewind that? Like, how did you come to be together? And did you find out later about his alcoholism? How did all that unfold?
Well, he let me know basically the first night we went out that he was an alcoholic, but he was in it
Okay, so you right from the start,
right from
no
the start.
lies,
He
off the
told
bat.
me, you know,
Okay,
and I didn't think anything of it because he was in AA. He had been in there for years. He'd been working on himself, but I don't drink anymore, and this, that, and the other. And I liked him, and you know, things
well,
went
I
on.
suppose we've all got faults, don't we? And love is all about, putting up with the good, the bad, and the ugly.
And that is it. You know, when you're in love, you know you're definitely blinded by things. You know what I mean? And you only see what you want to see, basically. Kind of like my kids, they only hear, it's called partial hearing.
Domestic deafness, we call it.
Like, so it ended up, it was real funny because every 3 years he would lose his job. And he'd give me some kind of story, and I'd be going to my parents telling them, well, he just lost his job because of blah, 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 blah. And I would tell them the story. And my parents would say to me, they'd go, that's ridiculous. They wouldn't, blah, blah, blah. And they would not believe him. And I'd be like, yes, that is what happened. And I stood behind him every single time. Every 3 years, and then he'd get another job. Every 3 years, it would come around like clockwork where he would lose his job. And I don't know if he was a closet alcoholic, so I never knew that he was drinking.
So he had fallen off the wagon, but you didn't know.
I didn't know. I
Okay,
believe this is what's happened, and this is why he lost his jobs because
right.
he led a whole nother life. I mean, we're talking things I found out later, like um, he had girlfriends galore, cheated on me galore, you know. Um, he led this whole other lifestyle. I'm working late, that didn't come home. I didn't think anything of it. He's working late. No, never thought
You've been
any.
there, you've done that.
Yeah, I thought I was living a beautiful life, and it came to a part where this doesn't have to do with finances, but like I would say, "Are you coming to bed?" And he would say, "Yeah, I'm coming," and he would never come to bed. He slept down on the sofa for I can't tell you how years, years, barely ever came to bed. Um, we'd be together once a year, and he'd go, well, you're exaggerating. It hasn't been a year, and I'd be like, yes, it was last Valentine's Day.
Wow.
You know, that right there sent me. Every time I told him he'd come home, and I could smell the worry, you know. And I was sick, but drinking, and he would deny it. He never once admitted he was drinking, even when he smelled like it, and we knew he was. He never once admitted it. And I think that's that saying of if you don't say it, it's not true.
It's not real.
It's not real. Yeah, and
Yep.
he really truly believed that. And so he lied to me throughout our whole relationship. All right. And what it did to me as being who I was before, like, I don't even feel like attractive to the man now. So now I'm like, well, I might as well take Cheetos to bed, the Oreo cookies, whatever, right? I gained 100 pounds. I didn't even look like myself.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was depression because it was getting to where every month something was going on where we couldn't pay. The paycheck never came home.
Deb, sorry, I'm going to have to stop again. Your computer, it's like screaming at me, the microphone. It's
Oh,
really loud, the background noise, or I'm trying to turn it down, but
yeah.
is it loud your end or you can't hear any?
I can't hear it anymore now.
No, it's gone down. All right, I'll do a clap so River can edit it for me. So, all right.
Okay.
So What happens a lot I hear with the stories is financial abuse is seldom a standalone event. It's combined with other forms of abuse or violence, such as domestic violence, emotional abuse. Was that true in your story?
Absolutely. I mean, I think he was a narcissist. He would make me feel as if it was me that had all the problems,
So
uh,
gaslighting and what as well?
everything. And then one day I woke up and that this was the thing is the kicker is he never came home, and the day before he was drunk, and I had to have my mother come over to watch my son because I couldn't leave my son with a drunken adult, you know, and I had to go to a very important interview. And when I came home, she said he left. He had a suitcase and he left. He said, "Goodbye, Liz." And I said, "Okay." The
Took his
next morning,
toothpaste, as you do.
my son even remembers, I mean, unfortunately, running up to his dad and hugging his legs and saying, "Dad, where are you going?" And him saying, "I'll be right back." Well, he never came home that evening because he got in a DUI. He totaled his car, got thrown in jail. But what also happened is the next morning, I didn't know all of this, and I woke up to go to the bank accounts, on my online banking, and he had stolen our savings account, which was a pretty good number, seeing as we just sold our house that we owned for 12 years. And I was just getting ready to open up my own dance studio, ready to sign the paperwork, already planned it out, everything, floors, mirrors, everything. Was ready to go to town on this. Um, Cleaned it out, put it in a cashier's check. The police took it. They would not give it back, give it to me because both of our names were on it, the bank account. They gave it back to him. In the meantime, I don't hear from him. He's released from jail on Wednesday. By Thursday, I'm looking at his computer screen because he left his Gmail open account. I'm seeing all the girls that he's been talking to, making plans for dates to see them, to discuss car stuff, which he lost his job at Christmas time. He came home crying. Came home crying that night. I'll never forget the night before Christmas because he had an out of town job and he was in a hotel room. And he was in a hotel room here in town. And he told me that he didn't want me to come upstairs to the room, that he would come down and I'd pick him up. Well, I'll come up there. No, 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 don't come upstairs to the room. I don't know what was happening in that room and how long he had been there, how many days and what he'd been doing. Lord only knows. But he didn't have, and as he sat there and cried, I said, "Don't worry, we have each other." I was always the person that stood behind him and said, "It's okay. We love each other. We have each other." And he'd cry. And this is what happened every 3 years. So by Thursday, I see that the creditors, he's asking for more money on his credit cards. Okay. By 3 p.m. that day, they're cutting him off from credit on the credit card. This is all happening on his email account. I'm watching this. So I don't know where he was spending all of this money when he wasn't home. Where was he and what was he doing? We have no idea. He decides to come home on Saturday. In the meantime, I've already changed the locks in the house, but I forgot the den. He came through the side den, and I had forgotten about that. What's going on here? And I told him, my kids and I didn't even feel safe. We sat with a chair up against the door at night because you hear how men go crazy and they shoot their family up. I mean, you can hear all kinds of crazy stories. I didn't know who this person was. I had no idea what I had been married to, who he was. He had lied to me so many times that why should I believe anything he says? He stole. Lie, stole, cheat. Is there any more? I
He's a
mean,
trifecta. It's a whole
I,
package.
Yeah, the whole package. I didn't know who he was. And so he came in and he said, well, they have the cashier's check. They won't give it to me for a couple of weeks or something. And then tried to tell me that he was going to go to rehab because it's what he wanted to do. Meanwhile, he didn't know that I had already called, and that was what the court made him do. He has to do that, not because I want to. So once again, lying to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and telling me, can I sleep in the guest bedroom? I'm like, no. He just wanted to live there, live off of our savings, and just, you know what I mean?
Yep. Did you recover any of those funds?
I got the checking account. He got the savings. So, I mean, there was enough in the checking to get us started, me and the kids, and I took the kids. And I would give him visiting rights, until he was fine. Now, if you tasked me, we're great co-parents together.
Yep.
Because I'm not going to take out any bad things where it affects my kids.
Yep.
My kids are the most important thing to me.
And is he a good dad?
Yes, and he's now becoming a good dad, and I'm thankful, and I pray for him. I hope that he gets what he needs and that he's healed. We are not together. I went and visited him in rehab. I asked him if he loved me. He said, I love our kids.
That's an answer in itself, isn't it?
I walked out of there 100 pounds heavier. Remember, I was really heavy then.
Yeah.
And I said, I felt like God had lifted a weight off my shoulders and said, Debbie, go be you. And I remember smiling so big and feeling so good as I opened up that car door, as I left. It was the best feeling in the world. And I was like, I'm going to go be an inspiration for my kids. I'm going to be their role model because they need a strong role model in their life.
So no more Oreos in bed for you after that.
No.
So you got the Rockette bod back too, didn't you? How did you manage that? Because I mean, you 100 pounds is a significant amount of weight. You've also had the mental issues, the domestic violence issues, the financial pressures, the emotional abuse. You're probably not in a really great headspace. You've had this load lifted. I mean, how hard is it to just go, that's it, I'm getting the Debbie Freeman Rockette bod back? Like, how long did that take? What sort of, mental mind shifts needed to happen? It's a big journey that you went on.
Determination. I was like, I told him, I said, look, I'm the best thing that's ever walked into your life. You don't realize it now, but someday you will. And I meant it.
And I'm going to show you.
Yeah. You can put vengeance,
Yeah, the Disney villain laughed down perfectly there.
So I was determined, and that's what it takes. It takes a why that is so fierce within you that you feel it, that nothing is going to stop you. And it's having that, because motivation only lasts for so long. But having that why, knowing that why, which was like, I'm going to show him. Just wait.
And show you did.
Yes, I did.
So 12 months later, you were back on the pageant series. Like, wow.
My girlfriend said to me, I used to choreograph the Mrs. Nevada for America pageant. And I said to her, Jackie, I said, too bad I can't be in the Mrs. division. Because she goes, you look great. And I said, too bad I can't do that. She goes, but you could do. So then she tells me about the Miss category, which is for divorced, widowed. All right.
Single women. Yep. Okay.
Okay. Single woman. But it was with younger kids. But I got to tell you, I did this pageant and I came first runner up next to a 22-year-old that took the title.
And how old were you at this stage?
49 years old.
Go you.
Right next to her, and I was like, yes, I felt great. And so then another director approached me and said, Debbie, you've already got everything. My pageant's in just a few weeks if you want to do it. And mine's a Ms. division, MS, which is ages 29 and above.
Right.
And I said, okay, let's do it. I'm ready. Right.
Yep.
So I went and I ended up doing it, and I became United States of America Ms. Nevada 2021 at 50 years old.
Oh my gosh. I'm even proud of you, and I didn't even know you then. It's really one of those like beautiful turnaround stories that, they make movies out of, that, are that real feel good, overcoming adversity stuff. And, we all love those underdog stories. So go you, good thing. That's completely amazing. And
We've all
yeah,
been, before sometimes and this was my way of just going, I'm
I'm
me
me
again.
again. Yeah.
I don't have to, be mean to you or anything. Trust me. He knows he's missing out. You know what I
So,
mean? I don't really, yeah.
so you're now Deb again. You've got the benefit of hindsight. You're great co-parents. Your kids have got as healthy as a relationship as they're going to get with their dad. Looking back now, what were some of the red flags that you chose to completely ignore, brush under the carpet? Are there any things that now stand out? You go, should have taken notice of that.
Yeah, first of all, it's funny how, like we talked about, you're blindsided when you're in love, right? You only want to see the good. But sometimes people outside of the relationship can see things that you can't. I wish I'd been more open, because my subconscious was telling me my parents were right. They knew what they were talking about. And of course, I wanted to listen to them, you know, but I was standing by his side, being the
Supportive
partner,
one. Yeah.
the wife, like I should have been, but I would say take the blinders off. Listen to your subconscious. It's trying to tell you, what's going on. You know it. Don't fool yourself. And I think a lot of us, what we do is we would rather go like this and blind ourselves because it's easier.
Well, like you say, you don't have to deal with it if you don't want to admit it's there, do you? So,
And that's what I'm saying is you don't want to admit it. You don't want to see it. It doesn't exist. Well, guess what? That's like that bill that comes in the mail. It's there. It ain't going away just because you didn't open it up.
yeah, I think the really cool thing though is that although it is so hard to do it and take those blinders off, for the people who are still going, I don't want to see it, I know it's there, I don't want to. Can you tell us how good it is on the other side of that?
So good, you guys. I mean, I'm now doing what I want to do and living life the way I want to live it. It doesn't, here's the thing, and this is what I truly believe, is that you shouldn't be living for a man, for your partner, woman. You should be living for yourself and what's going to make you happy. If you are not happy, the relationship is not going to be happy. He needs to work on what makes him happy. Together, we can be happy together and we can enjoy a life together. But my life does not consist of making him happy or him making me happy, because I have enough problems trying to make my own self happy for me to have to worry about somebody else and making them happy. They make their own self happy, then I can make myself happy and we can enjoy life together. Does that sound like a win-win?
Oh, it's such a healthy way of looking at it. Instead of, we're always dependent on somebody else. It is almost a toxic and unhealthy way to live, isn't it? That it's that I'll be happy when. And
Yeah.
especially with depression, there's a lot of people who, I'll be happy when I finally get my cruise, or when my kids are finally out at school, or when they're out of home, or I'll be happy. And it's never going to happen.
No,
It
it
doesn't matter
won't.
how many of those things you achieve or tick off. There'll always be something else that you'll be happy when. So it's a beautiful way to go, you know what? I'm responsible for my happiness, and I'm going to be a much better partner actually when I know how to be happy with me, because, I can be there for you because I've filled up my own cup first. It's really cool.
Absolutely. And so that's where I live right now in the present. I don't really worry that I'm not dating anybody, or I am dating, you know what I mean? I don't even think about it. I'm enjoying my life and what I'm doing. And I believe that God, the universe, whatever you want to believe, I believe it's coming to me at its right moment and timing.
Now, in the meantime, you did get caught up in what's now known as catfishing. And for those who don't know that expression or anything, we're talking about basically an internet romance scam, aren't we?
Yes.
So, can you tell us how that unfolded for you and
Oh,
how you got caught up with your Nigerian love?
and you're right, right, Amanda. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is so embarrassing, you guys. I have not shared this with anyone. This is an exclusive here with Amanda. Okay.
Neon lights are flashing on the podcast right now.
Oh my gosh. I think because I wanted to be loved so badly. I hadn't been loved or felt loved. 16 years I was married to my ex. And I used to say I was in a loveless marriage. I was in an absolute loveless marriage, you know, took away my confidence, my self-esteem, everything about me. So here I am back on the dating circuit at what, 40
Something.
40 something years old, And I'm like, I don't know how to do this online dating thing. Are you kidding me? Online dating?
Can't I go to a pub and have a drink with someone? Do it the
Oh,
old-fashioned way?
yeah. So I got on this Facebook dating app. It was really neat. The old swipe left, swipe right, whatever. I did whatever
I don't know, but I'm nodding.
can remember, but you swipe them and whatever. All right. And you have a profile there and you get to meet them and this, that, and the other. So I meet this guy online. He starts talking to me, and then he lets me know that he's in oh gosh, where did he say he was? Um, well, anyway, it was overseas somewhere. All right. And he was a soldier. And I almost got off, and he was like, please, please don't. I don't have anyone to talk to. And I really want to, I really like you, this, that, and the other. And he seemed sincere. So we're chatting away, and of course, never talked to him. He's not allowed to talk because, being on his phone, he could get it taken away from him. It could let off security of where they're at. I mean, we're talking, there's so many lies that these people
And
do.
military personnel are one of the top ones to be impersonated, aren't they? When you actually look into catfishing
Yes.
scams, often the military are the ones being impersonated because they can have those cover stories that
Mm.
we believe. Yeah.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And, he had these pictures, and then he even had me talk to a friend of his. Like, when we'd get upset or have an argument or something, he'd have his friend come on and talk to me. Well, Logan does this and he does that. And, so I was having these conversations, but he could never see him, just the pictures that he sent me. Right. And then when he sent me pictures of like all the guys in the army, how did I know which one was him? It was like all kinds of people in the army. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like believable, but not believable because it wasn't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
One picture was him in a barracks with, well, it wasn't him, but just guys. And it was like he was taking the picture, but it wasn't him. So I mean, like there was all these different things. And I remember one time he got his phone stolen because he took it out because he didn't want to miss a text from me. And he was out on the fields doing whatever they do in the fields, right? So his friend had to text me, and of course to let me know, and he would borrow his friend's phone to text me. And this went on for about a week or so, right? And of course, then he asked me, can I borrow some money? So he
And it
can,
begins.
yes, and it begins. So I could have, there's a guy here that can buy it for me. He'll go into town and he'll get, because I don't know what goes on over there in those things. I have no idea. It sounds believable. He goes, well, it'll cost like 500, but if you can give me 250, that would help. And then I could borrow that from my friend, blah, blah, blah. His wife can send it to him. And, like, yeah. So these are like believable stories. And of course, I mean, my mom always taught me that if you can help somebody out and you have it to give and it's not going to hurt your family, then by all means, I'm going to give it, not even expect it in return because I'm putting it out there. It will come back to me. Right?
So how many times was there an ask after this, after he finally gets you in, obviously, with the first round? Was there many more asks after this?
There was many more. It got to where he had even flown here and got stuck in Georgia with COVID. And
did that actually happen?
No. Give me some place that he was staying. I checked up on it. I couldn't find any information on it anywhere. And he was like, well, they won't let me out of this room. They're quarantined me. I'm running out of money. I'm telling you.
So what in the end was the big kicker that you went, yeah, something's not right here, and you flicked a switch? What happened?
Amanda, this was funny, is that even when that happened, he had a picture of the guy that he said he was in a hotel room doing a selfie shot of himself. So I'm like, how did he get the photo if it wasn't him? You know what I mean?
Yep,
I mean,
absolutely, yeah.
It was that realistic. I had no more money to give. I mean, I went out, I pawned things I should not have pawned to get money to help him out. Things that I can't get back ever again because, of course, he was going to get to me and help me get them back out. Really important things.
Yep, family heirlooms and...
Yes, and I mean, I just don't want my brother to hear this podcast.
Oops.
Yeah, no, and finally I just was like, I'm sorry, but I cut you off. No more. I need to see you or forget it.
Oh, we're done. Yep.
We're done.
You put down the ultimatum in the end.
Yes, I did. So then he finally calls me, and when he calls me, he does not sound like what he looks like. That's all I'm going to tell you. He was
so there's an accent. That's what you're saying.
Nigerian accent. Finally comes clean because I tell him, I'm sorry, but you are definitely not the person I'm looking at online. He comes clean and tells me he's a 13-year-old Nigerian.
Wow.
Then asks if he can date my daughter.
Well, of course. Move on in.
Because I was so nice.
The cheek. Oh, my goodness. 13. Obviously, these are serious scams that they run out of Nigeria, and I think they're actually trained and they're in these like call centers where they're worked up to, they've taken people's online identities, and this isn't something that, like you said, again, you're embarrassed, you're ashamed and all that, but these are professionals. Even if they're kids, they're taught how to do this, what to say next, and all the rest. It's a phenomenal, scam that takes advantage of the good nature of people and preys on people's kindness and goodness, which I think is what makes it so devastating, because you're just acting out of the goodness of your heart to help someone who's got, a story that, like you said, it's believable. You want to help somebody out. And so looking back, how long did this relationship, for want of a better word, last for, Debbie?
I want to say it lasted for a good 6 to 8 months.
So lessons from that for you, apart
Well,
from not being allowed to date your daughter at the end of it?
well, you know,
Cheeky little bugger.
the whole thing of it is because I've gone through such a struggle with my ex that I'm afraid to date anybody. Do you know what I mean? So this person was safe to me because he was online. You know, it wasn't it for me, that's what it was. It wasn't like I had to, make any commitments or anything like that. But then when the money started coming, it was just like, wait a minute, wait a minute. This is more and more and more and more. And my conscience throughout the whole thing just went, Debbie, this doesn't sound right. And I was questioning things. And I got to tell you, I lived with stress. It was very stressful. And here I am helping somebody and I want to help them, but it's like they lead you on to think like, okay, well, once you do this, then we'll be able to do this. And then
There's
we'll
always the
see.
bait. Can
Yeah,
I ask a really rude question? Did
sure.
you tell anybody about this relationship, or was it something you kept quite quiet?
It was something I kept quite quiet.
Which
I
is
was,
okay. It's actually one of the other, I suppose, symptoms of it, that if you don't want to tell people, when you look up catfishing, that it is, there is a secretiveness to, I don't want to share it, because other people are going to go, you're a drongo, for an Australian expression there, or
yeah,
you silly woman. So there must be this part of you that knows, and that's why you don't want to share, because people are going to turn around and go, oh, seriously, dude?
and that's exactly right, Amanda. You hit it right on the head because your subconscious knows that what you're doing, it doesn't sound right. And people are going to pick up on that and you don't want to hear it. So once again, the blinders are on.
Well, I'm just completely in love with your bravery in sharing your stories today with me, and giving me the world exclusive on Debbie Freeman, former Rockette, abused and catfished.
Who's that, Dibbo?
Absolutely gorgeous. Really appreciate that, Deb. Is there any, I suppose, things that you'd like to share with people about your experiences that they could take away as well, for people who are sitting there going, maybe that's me, I don't know what to do next?
Well, I would say definitely listening to your subconscious. If you have to ask questions and you're not getting answers and they're making excuses, it's a lie. They're just lies. And they're trying to cover up lies with lies with lies. I've been lied to. Trust me, I am a professional.
I don't know if that's something anybody wants to lay claim to, but you just rock it. So
Not being lied to. It's me.
I think it just shows you've got a beautiful, trusting nature, and I hope, despite what's happened, that you don't lose that. And I'm sure there's a gorgeous person actually out there who wants to take care of you somewhere. You'll find him.
I will. He's coming my way at the right time, and I'm
Exactly.
happy with that. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again, Debbie Freeman, for sharing your incredible story with us. We really, really appreciate. And I will have all your socials and contacts. Now, you also run a podcast, don't you? Can you tell us, if people want to listen to a little bit more, where they can find you?
Oh, that's beautiful, Amanda. Thank you. It's called Your Unique Sparkle because I believe that everyone has a special, unique something about them that they can share and help inspire or motivate other people or change the lives of others.
Ah, that's beautiful. Well, I think you've sparkled all over this today, and I will make sure that all your links are in the show notes for everyone who wants to find you. So thank you so much again, Deb. It's been awesome.
Thank you, Amanda. And please, anybody who wants to just hit me up with a Gmail, youruniquesparkle@gmail.com. If you have any questions or need help, I'd be happy to help.
Oh, rock star. Thanks, Deb. Catch you on the other side.
Bye.
All right.